Blood hit the overhead light in a fine mist. The monitor screamed its flatline alarm. Nobody moved. I stood there with my hands hovering over the instrument tray, watching Dr. Preston Whitmore freeze at the operating table. His scalpel trembled in his gloved hand. He stared down at the open chest cavity like he'd just discovered a foreign language written in tissue and bone. The patient jerked once beneath the drapes, then went still. "Somebody do something," Dr. Graham Foster shouted. The resident's voice cracked on the last word. Whitmore's mouth opened. Nothing came out. And then I made a choice. For 3 years I'd been invisible in this hospital. 3 years of, "Mouse, fetch this, Mouse, hold that, Mouse, why are you even here?" 3 years of watching residents half my age bark orders like drill sergeants while I cleaned up their mistakes in silence. 3 years of being called Mouse behind my back and sometimes to my face. I didn't mind. Invisible was safe. But tonight, invisibility wasn't going to cut it. "Step back," I said. My voice didn't sound like my voice. It sounded like someone else. Someone I'd buried 3 years ago in the mountains of Kandahar. Someone who gave orders instead of taking them. Whitmore blinked at me like I'd just materialized out of smoke. "What? Step back. You don't. I'm taking over. Move now." The room went silent except for the flatline scream. Foster's jaw dropped. Dr. Lynn, the anesthesiologist, stared. Whitmore's face went red behind his mask. But I didn't wait for permission. I didn't ask. I just moved. My hands found the retractor and adjusted it with a precision that made Foster stumble backward. I suctioned the blood, angled the light, and there it was, the tear, smaller than a dime tucked behind the liver, pumping the patient's life onto the table. "Clamp," I said. Nobody moved. "Clamp now." Foster fumbled one into my hand. I placed it in 2 seconds flat, isolating the hepatic artery with the kind of control that doesn't come from textbooks. The bleeding stopped, not slowed, stopped. "Suture, 40-proline," Whitmore found his voice. "You can't." "Shut up." The room went cold. I threaded the suture, hands moving like they were remembering something my brain had buried. 3 stitches, clean, fast, perfect. The monitor beeped. Once, twice, a rhythm. "Pressure's rising," Dr. Lynn said, and for the first time all night she sounded surprised. 60/40, 70, 80. I stepped back, stripped off my gloves, dropped them in the bin. "Close him up," I said to Foster, who looked like he'd just witnessed a magic trick he couldn't explain. Whitmore's voice shook. "Who the hell do you think you are?" I turned, met his eyes, and for the first time in 3 years I let him see me. Really see me. "I'm the one who just saved his life," I said. "You're welcome." I walked out before he could respond. The scrub room was directly adjacent, separated by a glass window that nobody ever looked through. I stripped off my surgical gown, tossed it in the hamper, and caught my reflection in the mirror above the sink. Same face I'd had for 32 years. Same dark eyes. Same scar above my left eyebrow that I told people came from a childhood bike accident. It hadn't. I washed my hands. The water ran pink, then clear. I scrubbed under my nails between my fingers the way I'd been trained. Muscle memory older than my new name. Behind me, the OR door swung open. Foster stumbled out, mask hanging around his neck, looking like he'd just run a marathon. "What the hell was that?" he said. I didn't turn around. "A repair." "That's not what I mean." "I know what you mean. Whitmore's losing his mind in there. He's talking about reporting you, insubordination, practicing without a license. He's got a whole list." I dried my hands, folded the paper towel, dropped it in the trash. "Let him." "You don't get it. He's connected. His uncle's on the hospital board. You go up against him, you're done." I finally looked at Foster. He was 26, maybe 27. Fresh out of residency, still thought the world made sense. You ever see someone die on a table because the surgeon was too proud to admit he didn't know what he was doing? I asked. Foster's jaw worked. "That's not... Have you?" He looked away. "I have," I said quietly. "More times than I can count. So if Whitmore wants to report me, fine. But that man in there goes home to his family because I didn't wait for permission." I walked past him out into the hallway, where the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead and the smell of antiseptic clung to everything. The locker room was empty when I got there. I sat on the bench, hands still steady, heartbeat still slow. I stared at my palms. No tremors, no adrenaline crash. Just muscle memory and the ghost of a life I'd buried 3 years ago. I'd been good at burying things. Codename Phantom 6, Special Operations Combat Medic. 18 confirmed saves under fire. 3 tours, 2 classified missions. 1 incident that never made it into any report because the people who knew about it were either dead or pretending to be. I'd walked away, changed my name, took a civilian job in a place where nobody asked questions and everybody ignored me. It had worked, until tonight. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I stared at it for 5 full seconds before answering. Thorne, the voice on the other end was clipped military digitally scrambled. Phantom 6, confirm identity. My blood went cold. Wrong number. I hung up. The phone buzzed again immediately. We have your biometrics from the OR Surgical Technique Response Time Instrument, handling voice pattern match. Don't insult me. I powered off the phone, pulled the SIM card, and crushed it under my heel. Outside the locker room, I heard voices. Whitmore's loud and defensive. Someone else calmer. Security, maybe. Or admin. I changed into street clothes jeans, a plain gray hoodie, sneakers that didn't squeak, and stuffed my scrubs in my bag. The side exit led to a stairwell that most people forgot existed. I took it down 3 flights, came out in the basement near the loading dock, and slipped into the parking lot through a service door that was supposed to be locked, but never was. The lot was dark, quiet. My car was 3 rows back, a beat-up Honda Civic that blended into every parking lot in America. I was 10 feet away when I heard it. The helicopter. It came in low. No lights rotors cutting the air with a sound I hadn't heard in years. Military. Fast response. The kind of bird that didn't land unless someone important was on board, or someone important was the target. It touched down in the ambulance bay rotor wash, scattering loose trash across the asphalt. Doors opened. 4 figures in tactical gear stepped out, moving with the kind of precision that made my instincts scream. I turned, started walking the other direction. Head down, pace normal, not running. Running drew attention. Evelyn Thorne. I stopped. The voice came from behind me. Male. Command-grade authority baked into every syllable. I didn't turn around. Not yet. I know you can hear me, the voice said closer now. And I know you know who I am. I turned slowly. The man was maybe 45, salt and pepper hair, buzzed military short face, weathered in the way that came from too many deployments and not enough sleep. Commander's bars on his collar. Name tape read Hewitt. We need to talk, Hewitt said. I'm off duty. You've been off duty for 3 years. Doesn't mean you stopped being Phantom 6. I kept my voice flat. That person's dead. Dick? Funny. Hewitt smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. She just saved a life in OR3 with skills no civilian nurse should have. I did my job. Your job? Hewitt stepped closer, hands loose at his sides, non-threatening, but ready. You performed a hepatic artery repair under combat conditions in a civilian hospital. You bypassed a senior surgeon. You violated every protocol in the book. And you did it like you've done it 100 times before. I didn't blink. So what? So the man you saved, his name is Marcus Webb, former Delta Force, went dark 2 years ago after a mission in Kandahar went sideways, and 15 minutes ago someone tried to finish what they started on that interstate. My stomach dropped, but my face didn't move. Hewitt continued. The accident wasn't an accident. The vehicle that hit him was stolen 3 hours ago. Driver's body was found in a dumpster 2 miles away. Single gunshot execution style. That's not my problem. It is now, Hewitt's voice dropped. Because the second you stepped into that OR and showed everyone what you can do, you painted a target on your back. And if you think you can just walk away again, the gunshot cracked through the air. Hewitt's head snapped back. He dropped. I was already moving. I dove behind a parked SUV as the tactical team returned fire muzzle flashes, lighting up the lot like a strobe. I didn't think. I moved. Training kicked in older than my new name, deeper than my new life. I crawled between vehicles low and fast, using the chassis for cover. Rounds punched through metal and glass above my head. I counted shooters by sound. 2, maybe 3. Suppressed weapons high caliber. Professional. The tactical team was pinned down near the helicopter. One of them was already on the ground, not moving. The other 3 were returning fire, but they were exposed, silhouetted against the landing lights. I reached the back entrance to the hospital. The door was locked. I kicked it open one solid strike just below the handle and slipped inside. Behind me, the gunfire stopped. Ahead of me, the hospital lights flickered once and went out. Emergency power kicked in 3 seconds later, bathing the halls in red. I kept moving instinct, guiding me through the dark. I knew this building. Every exit, every stairwell, every blind spot. I'd walked these halls for 3 years, invisible memorizing. I made it to the ICU in 90 seconds. Marcus Webb was in bed, 7 monitors beeping steadily, still sedated from surgery. A nurse I didn't recognize stood by the door. Young, maybe 24 eyes wide. Her name tag read, Jessica. "What's going on?" she asked. I didn't answer. I moved to Marcus's bedside, checked the monitors. Vitals stable, sedation holding. I glanced at the IV bag. Propofol, standard post-op dosing. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Slow, deliberate. Not the frantic scatter of staff or the purposeful stride of security. Something else. I turned to Jessica. "Get out, now." "What?" "Leave. Use the south stairwell. Don't stop until you're outside." "I can't just—" Something in my voice made her move. She grabbed her tablet and ran. I turned back to the hallway and waited. The man who stepped into view was wearing black tactical gear with no insignia. Face obscured by a balaclava, he moved like a professional. He carried a pistol suppressor attached, held low and ready. He stopped 10 feet away, looked at me, then at Marcus. "Step aside," he said, voice distorted by a modulator, robotic and flat. I didn't move. I said, "Step aside." "No." He tilted his head. "You know who I am. I know what you are." "Then you know how this ends." I felt my voice drop, quiet, cold. The voice I hadn't used in 3 years. "You picked the wrong hospital." He laughed. It sounded wrong through the modulator, mechanical and hollow. He holstered his pistol and pulled a knife instead. 8-inch tactical blade, serrated edge. He held it like he knew how to use it. "I was told you were dangerous," he said. "Let's see." I smiled. The fight lasted 12 seconds. He came in fast, blade angled low, aiming for my gut. I sidestepped, caught his wrist mid-thrust, and twisted. The angle was perfect. His grip failed. The knife clattered to the tile. He didn't hesitate. Threw an elbow at my temple. I ducked under it, drove my knee into his ribs, heard something crack, and followed with a palm strike to his throat that sent him staggering backward, choking. He tried to recover, reaching for his sidearm. I didn't give him the chance. I swept his leg, dropped him hard onto the tile, and pinned him with my knee on his chest forearm across his windpipe. "Who sent you?" I asked. He didn't answer, just smiled behind the balaclava. I pressed harder. "Last chance." "You should have stayed dead, he wheezed. And then his eyes rolled back, foam bubbled at his lips. White and frothy, poison capsule, classic tradecraft. I let him drop, checked his pulse, gone in 15 seconds. I stood breathing steady and looked down at the body. No identification, no tattoos visible. Weapon was a Glock 19 serial number filed off. The knife was military issue but untraced. Ghost, just like me. I heard running footsteps. Security, finally. I raised my hands as they rounded the corner, 2 guards with flashlights and radios looking confused and terrified. "There's a body," I said calmly, "and you need to lock down this wing, now." One of the guards stared at the dead man. The other one spoke into his radio voice, shaking. By the time hospital administration arrived, the tactical team had swept the building. No more hostiles. 1 dead operative in the ICU. one unconscious commander being rushed to surgery, 2 dead team members in the parking lot, and 1 nurse who just fought off a trained killer with her bare hands. Victoria Lang, the hospital administrator, met me in the hallway outside the ICU. Lang was 50-something with steel gray hair pulled back tight and a voice like gravel. "Explain," Lang said. I met her eyes. "I'm a nurse. I did my job. Nurses don't disarm assassins. I used to be something else." "Used to be—" I didn't answer. Lang studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "We'll talk later. Right now, you're on lockdown. Military's orders, not mine." "I'm not military." "Tell them that." Lang walked away, heels clicking on the tile. I stood alone in the red-lit hallway, surrounded by armed personnel in tactical gear who wouldn't meet my eyes. I'd broken cover, saved a life, killed a threat, and now the past I'd buried was clawing its way back up. I walked back into the ICU. Marcus was still unconscious, still stable. I stood at his bedside and looked at his face. Even sedated, even bruised and bandaged, there was something familiar about him. I pulled up his chart on the computer, scrolled through the intake notes. No next of kin listed, no emergency contact, no insurance, just a name and a blood type. And then I saw it. A note from the paramedics buried in the narrative. Patient was clutching a photograph when found, secured in personal effects. I found the bag in the cabinet beneath the bed, inside wallet keys, phone with a shattered screen, and a photograph, crumpled and stained with blood. I unfolded it carefully. The photo showed 5 soldiers in desert camo, dusty and grinning arms around each other's shoulders. I recognized the location. Kandahar, Forward Operating Base. The mountains in the background were unmistakable, and in the center of the group, crouching between 2 men twice her size, was a woman in fatigues with dark hair pulled back and a field medic patch on her shoulder. I stared at the photograph. I was looking at myself. The memory hit me like a flashbang. Kandahar, 3 years ago. A mission that wasn't supposed to exist. I'd been embedded with a Delta team for a high-value extraction. A warlord with information on a weapons cache that could level a city block. The mission had gone bad. Ambush in the mountains, 4 team members wounded, 1 critical. I'd kept him alive for 6 hours while we waited for exfil, working with nothing but a field kit, and my hands talking to him the whole time, keeping him conscious, keeping him fighting. His name had been Webb, Marcus Webb. I'd saved his life that night. And then the after-action report had come down. Mission classified, team disbanded, records sealed. I'd been reassigned. He'd disappeared into another unit, and now he was here in my hospital with someone trying to kill him. Again. My hands tightened on the photograph. I thought I was done with that world. Thought I could leave it behind, become someone else. Live a quiet life where the only lives I saved were the ones who came through the ER doors. But the world didn't let you go that easily. I heard footsteps behind me. Turned. A woman stood in the doorway, late 30s, sharp features, wearing a dark suit that screamed federal agent. She held up a badge. "Evelyn Thorne," she said. "I'm Agent Rachel Frost, DIA. We need to talk." I set the photograph down. "About what?" "About why a dead woman just killed an enemy operative in the middle of a civilian hospital." "I'm not dead." "Officially, you are. Phantom 6 was KIA in Kandahar 3 years ago. Chopper went down during exfil. No survivors. There was a funeral, a flag. Your name's on a wall." My jaw tightened. "Then you're talking to a ghost." Frost stepped into the room, closed the door behind her. "The man you saved tonight was part of that mission," she said. "So were the 2 operators who just died in your parking lot. So is Commander Hewitt, who's currently in surgery with a bullet in his shoulder. What's your point?" "My point is that someone is cleaning house. Everyone connected to Kandahar is being eliminated, and you just put yourself back on the list." I crossed my arms. "I didn't put myself anywhere. I saved a life. And in doing so, you revealed yourself. Whoever's behind this now knows you're alive, and they won't stop until you're not." "Let them try." Frost's expression didn't change. "You don't get it. This isn't some rogue operative with a grudge. This is coordinated, funded. The attack tonight was surgical. They knew where Webb would be. They knew which hospital. They had an inside route to cut the power and infiltrate the ICU. That takes resources. My eyes narrowed. Someone on the inside? Almost certainly. Who? That's what we're trying to figure out. Frost pulled out a tablet, swiped through files. In the last 6 months, 4 members of your old team have died. Car accidents, muggings, suicides, all ruled unrelated, but the pattern's there if you know where to look. Why now? Why 3 years later? Because something changed. We don't know what, but 2 weeks ago, Webb went off-grid. He was investigating something, trying to piece together what happened in Kandahar, and then someone tried to kill him. I looked back at Marcus's unconscious form. What was he investigating? We don't know. His files were encrypted, his contacts went dark, whatever he found, he kept it close. And you think it got him targeted? I think it got everyone targeted, including you. I was quiet for a moment. Then, what do you want from me? Help us find out who's behind this. You're the only member of that team still breathing who's actually alive. The only one who can identify the threat. I'm not an agent. No, you're better. You're a ghost who just proved she can still fight. I shook my head. I'm done with that life. Frost's voice softened. I understand. You built something here. A new identity. A normal life. But that life just ended. The second you stepped into that OR, you became a target. You can run, but they'll find you. Or you can fight. And maybe you survive this. I stared at her. And if I say no, then I walk out of here and you're on your own. No protection, no backup, just you and whoever comes through that door next. Silence hung between us. The red emergency lights pulsed overhead. Somewhere down the hall, a monitor beeped. Marcus's breathing was steady, mechanical, the ventilator doing half the work. I thought about the photograph, about Kevin Wade who'd taken a bullet meant for me, about the 5 of us in that picture, young and invincible and stupid. 4 of them were dead now, and someone was coming for the rest. I looked at Frost. If I do this, I do it my way. No oversight, no chain of command. Done. And when this is over, I disappear again. New name, new city, clean slate. Agreed. I extended my hand. Frost shook it. Welcome back, Phantom 6, she said. My smile was cold. Don't call me that. I'm Evie. Just Evie. Fair enough. Frost turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. The operative you killed, we ran his biometrics. He's former Russian FSB, went private 5 years ago, works for the highest bidder, specializes in wet work and political assassinations. Russia. Or someone with Russian connections. Either way, this just went international. Frost left. I stood alone in the room, the weight of the past settling back onto my shoulders like an old coat. I'd broken cover, saved a life, killed a threat. And now there was no going back. I walked back to Marcus's bedside and looked at his face. You really know how to ruin a quiet life, I muttered. His eyes opened. I startled. He shouldn't be awake. The sedation, Marcus's hand shot out, grabbed my wrist. His grip was weak but desperate. They're coming, he rasped. I know, it's handled. No. His eyes were wild, unfocused. Not just for me. For you. For all of us. They know. They know what we saw. What did you see, Marcus? His grip tightened. The weapon. We weren't extracting a warlord. We were stopping a sale. Chemical. Enough to kill thousands. My blood went cold. What happened to it? We destroyed it, burned the cache. But the seller, he coughed. We saw his face. European, connected, he got away. And now he's tying up loose ends. Marcus. Save it, he whispered. Rest, I'll handle this. His hand fell away. He was out again. I straightened. My mind was already working, running scenarios, calculating threats. A chemical weapon. A European seller. A team being eliminated one by one. This wasn't just about Kandahar. This was about covering up something bigger. I walked to the window. Outside the parking lot was swarming with federal vehicles now. Crime scene tape everywhere. Body bags being loaded into a coroner's van. My phone, the burner I'd picked up after crushing my real one, buzzed. Text from an unknown number. You made a mistake tonight. Should have let him die. Now we know you're alive, and we're coming for you. I deleted the message, crushed the phone, dropped it in the trash. I didn't run. I walked back to Marcus's bedside, pulled up a chair, and sat down. If they wanted me, they could come. I'd be waiting. Outside in the parking lot, a black sedan with tinted windows sat 3 rows back from the emergency entrance. Inside, a man watched the hospital through binoculars. He lowered them, pulled out a phone, dialed. She's confirmed, he said. Alive and operational. A pause. Understood. Initiating phase 2. He hung up, started the engine, drove away into the night. Inside the hospital, I sat in the red emergency lighting hands folded in my lap, eyes on the door, waiting. Because the war I thought I'd left behind had just found me again. And this time, there was nowhere to hide. The red emergency lights hummed in the silence. I didn't move from my chair. My eyes stayed on the door, tracking every shadow that passed in the hallway beyond. Staff moved like ghosts in the dim glow. Nurses checking other patients. Security doing their rounds. All of them pretending the bodies in the parking lot hadn't happened. I could hear Marcus breathing. Steady, mechanical. The ventilator doing half the work. His words echoed in my head. Chemical weapon. European cellar. We saw his face. 3 years. I'd had 3 years of normal, of obscurity, of coffee that tasted bad and shifts that ran long and coworkers who treated me like I was barely there. It had been enough. It had been safe. Now, safe was gone. Footsteps approached, different from the others, purposeful, military cadence. A soldier appeared in the doorway, young, maybe 25, uniform crisp, rifle slung across his chest. He looked at me, then at Marcus, then back at me. "Ma'am, I'm Corporal Mitchell. I've been assigned to this room. Nobody gets in without clearance." I studied him, clean-shaven, eyes alert, finger resting on the trigger guard, not the trigger, trained but green, probably his first domestic deployment. "You ever fire that weapon outside of a range?" I asked. Mitchell blinked. "Ma'am, the rifle. You ever use it when someone's shooting back?" His jaw tightened. "No, ma'am." "Then stay sharp. The people who want him dead don't care about your uniform." Mitchell straightened. "Yes, ma'am." I stood, stretched, my back cracked. I'd been sitting too long. "I'm getting coffee. You see anyone who's not hospital staff or federal, you call it in first and shoot second. Understood." "I can't just—" "You can. You will." I walked past him into the hall. The hospital felt different now. Same fluorescent lights, same antiseptic smell. But the air was heavier. People moved faster, talked quieter. Word had spread. Shooting in the parking lot, dead men, military lockdown. The kind of thing that made the local news and sent the board into damage control mode. I found the break room on the 2nd floor, empty. I poured coffee from a pot that had been sitting too long. The liquid was thick and bitter. I didn't add cream, didn't add sugar. Just drank it black and hot while staring at the vending machine. The door opened behind me. I turned. Dr. Preston Whitmore stood there still in his scrub stethoscope around his neck. He looked older than he had in the OR. Tired. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something else. Uncertainty, maybe. Or fear. "We need to talk," he said. I sipped my coffee. "No, we don't. You saved a man's life tonight." "I did my job." Whitmore stepped into the room, closed the door. "That wasn't a job, that was combat medicine. I've been a surgeon for 15 years and I've never seen anyone move like that. Congratulations, you learned something." "Who are you?" I set down my coffee. "You want the truth or the story?" "The truth." "I'm a nurse, same as yesterday, same as tomorrow." Whitmore's voice dropped. "Bullshit. There are federal agents crawling all over this hospital. There are bodies in the morgue. There's a military guard outside the ICU. All because of you. All because someone tried to kill my patient." "Your patient?" I almost laughed. "You froze. You stood there with a scalpel in your hand and watched him die. He's alive because I didn't wait for you to figure it out." Whitmore's face went red, then pale. For a moment, I saw something crack in his expression. The mask slipping. I froze, he said quietly. In the OR. I knew the patient was dying and I couldn't move. It happens. Not to me. I'm the best surgeon in this hospital. I don't freeze. I don't fail. I picked up my coffee again. Everyone fails eventually. You just got unlucky tonight. And you got lucky? No, I got trained. Whitmore stared at me. Trained where, by who? I drained the rest of my coffee, crushed the cup, tossed it in the trash. Doesn't matter. What matters is that patient lived. If you want to report me, go ahead. But you'll have to explain why you stood there doing nothing while I saved his life. I walked past him toward the door. Wait. I stopped. Whitmore's voice was quieter now, almost vulnerable. I'm not going to report you. I just need to understand. How do you do it? How do you stay calm when everything's falling apart? I looked back at him. You stop thinking about yourself, I said. You think about them, the patient, the mission, whatever you want to call it. You stop worrying about being the best and start worrying about being enough. I left him standing there. The hallway was busier now. Morning shift was starting. Nurses traded updates at the desk. Doctors checked charts. The hospital was waking up pretending last night had been an anomaly instead of a warning. My phone buzzed, the new burner. I'd only given the number to one person. I answered. Frost. We've got a problem. Another one. The body from the ICU. We ran his prints through every database we have. FSB, Interpol, CIA, Five Eyes. He's a ghost. No records, no history, nothing. I frowned. That's not possible. Everyone leaves a trail. Not if someone scrubbed it, professionally, which means whoever hired him has serious resources. What about the others? The shooters in the parking lot? Same thing. No IDs, no records, weapons are untraceable. It's like they never existed. I stopped walking. That takes government-level access or someone with government-level connections. Either way, we're not dealing with a rogue operator. This is institutional. How high does it go? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Frost paused. I'm sending you a file. Photos from Kandahar. Everyone who was on that mission. I need you to go through them and tell me who else might be a target. I already know who's a target, everyone. Then help me narrow it down. Someone on that mission saw something they weren't supposed to. Someone became a liability. Figure out who. And if I can't, Frost's voice hardened. Then we're all dead. The line went dead. I pocketed the phone and kept walking. I needed to see the file. Needed to remember faces I'd spent 3 years trying to forget. I took the stairs to the basement. The hospital's IT server room was down here, tucked between the laundry and the boiler room. I'd been down here before, 6 months ago, fixing a computer issue the tech guys couldn't figure out. They'd been impressed. I'd been careful not to show too much. The door was locked. I pulled a paper clip from my pocket, bent it, and had the lock open in 8 seconds. The server room was cold, loud with the hum of machines. I found an unoccupied terminal logged in with credentials I'd borrowed 6 months ago and never returned, and opened my encrypted email. The file from Frost was there. I downloaded it. 23 photos, 23 faces. I recognized them all. Delta operators, intelligence officers, contractors, and one combat medic, me. I scrolled through slowly. Some of the faces were crossed out in red, dead, confirmed kills from Frost's investigation. Lieutenant Kevin Wade, car accident. Sergeant Tim Cooper, mugging gone wrong. Captain Lisa Carson, suicide. Specialist Alex Nguyen, house fire, 4 down, 19 left. I studied the ones still alive, tried to remember who had been where during the mission. Who had seen what? The mission had been a nightmare from the start. Bad intel, wrong coordinates, enemy waiting. We'd improvised, fought our way to the cache, destroyed it, barely made it out. But someone had seen the seller, the European, the man orchestrating the deal. I closed my eyes, tried to pull the memory into focus. The cache had been in a compound outside Kandahar. We'd breached at dawn. I'd been with the assault team, providing medical cover. We'd taken fire immediately. 3 wounded in the first minute. I'd been dragging one of them to cover when I'd seen him. A man in the courtyard, not armed, not fighting, just watching. European features, expensive clothes, calm. He'd looked directly at me, smiled, and then he was gone. I opened my eyes, pulled up the photo of the assault team, 5 operators. I'd been one of them. The others, Marcus Webb, Kevin Wade, Tim Cooper, and Lieutenant Jackson Perry. Wade and Cooper were dead. Marcus was upstairs, barely alive. That left Perry. I pulled up a search. Found him in 30 seconds. Jackson Perry. Discharged 2 years ago. Currently working private security in Washington, D.C. I grabbed my phone. Dialed Frost. I need a location on Jackson Perry. Who? Lieutenant Delta. Was on the Kandahar mission. He's still alive and he's in D.C. Hold on, typing sounds. Got him. Lives in Arlington. Works for a firm called Sentinel Group, high-end corporate security. Can you reach him? I can try. Why? Because he was in the compound with me when we saw the cellar. If anyone else can ID this guy, it's Perry. I'll make the call. Tell him to go dark. No phones, no credit cards, nothing traceable. If they found Marcus, they'll find him. Understood. I hung up, stared at the screen. 23 faces, 4 dead, 1 in critical condition, 18 potential targets. And somewhere out there, a man with enough money and power to erase people like they'd never existed. I logged out, wiped my tracks, left the server room. The hallway outside was empty except for a janitor mopping the floor. He didn't look up as I passed. I took the stairs back to the main level, my mind already running scenarios. If Perry could confirm the seller's identity, we'd have a thread to pull, a name, a face, something to trace back to whoever was orchestrating this. But that was a big if. I was halfway to the ICU when the hospital's PA system crackled to life. Code blue ICU, code blue ICU. I ran. I hit the stairwell at full speed, took the steps 3 at a time, burst through the door onto the ICU floor. Staff were running toward Marcus's room. I pushed past them. Corporal Mitchell was on the ground, unconscious, blood pooling under his head. Marcus's bed was empty. The monitors were flatlined, leads ripped out and dangling. The window was open, cold air pouring in. I ran to the window, looked out. 3 stories down, a panel van idling in the alley, back doors open. 2 men in black loading something into the van. Someone. Marcus. I didn't think. I climbed onto the windowsill. "Ma'am, don't," a nurse shouted behind me, voice panicked. I jumped. 3 stories. I hit the fire escape 1 floor down, rolled, absorbed the impact, kept moving, dropped to the 2nd floor platform, swung over the railing, fell the last 10 feet and landed in a crouch. The van was pulling away. I sprinted, hit the van's back door at full speed, grabbed the handle, wrenched it open. One of the men turned, surprised. I grabbed his tactical vest, yanked him out of the moving vehicle. He hit the pavement hard. The van swerved. I hauled myself inside. Marcus was on the floor, unconscious, zip-tied. The second man lunged at me. I ducked, drove my elbow into his ribs, followed with a knee to his face. He went down. The van accelerated. I crawled forward toward the cab. The driver glanced back, eyes wide. He reached for something on the passenger seat. A gun. I grabbed the unconscious man's tactical vest, pulled a sidearm from the holster. Glock 17. I racked the slide, aimed at the driver's headrest. "Stop the van." The driver's hand froze on the gun. "Stop the van!" He slammed the brakes. I braced myself against the wall as the van skidded to a halt. The driver grabbed his gun, started to turn. I fired. The round punched through the seat. Center mass. The driver slumped forward onto the wheel. The horn blared. I kicked open the back door, grabbed Marcus, dragged him out onto the street. We were 2 blocks from the hospital. Early morning, light traffic, a few pedestrians staring. I checked Marcus's pulse. Weak, but there. I cut the zip ties with the knife I'd taken off the second man. Sirens in the distance. I looked back at the van. The second man was stirring, groaning. I walked over, pressed the Glock to his temple. "Who sent you?" He spat blood. "Go to hell." Wrong answer. I moved the gun to his knee. Last chance. "Who sent you?" "I don't know. We got the contract through a broker, anonymous, payment in crypto. That's all I know." "Where were you taking him?" "Safe House, Warehouse District, Pier 7. "Who's waiting there?" "I don't know, I swear. We were just supposed to deliver him." I stepped back, looked at him. You're lying. I'm not. I shot him in the other knee. His scream cut through the morning air. Pedestrians ran. Someone was shouting about calling the police. I crouched next to him, voice calm. I can keep going, or you can tell me the truth. He was sobbing now. Contractor, European, that's all I saw. Suit, accent. Paid us 50 grand to grab the guy and bring him in alive. What's his name? I don't know. He didn't give one. I stood, pointed the gun at his head. Wait. He had a tattoo on his wrist, some kind of symbol, like a bird, a hawk maybe. I lowered the gun. A hawk. The sirens were closer now, 3 blocks, maybe less. I walked back to Marcus, holstered the gun, lifted him into a fireman's carry. He was heavier than he looked. I started walking. A car screeched to a halt beside me. Black SUV, tinted windows. The passenger door opened. Frost leaned out. Get in! I didn't argue. I loaded Marcus into the back seat, climbed in after him. Frost hit the gas. We were 4 blocks away when the police arrived at the scene. I checked Marcus's vitals again. Breathing, pulse. He'd been sedated, probably drugged in the transport. He'd live. Frost glanced in the rearview mirror. You just killed 2 men in broad daylight. 3 technically. The driver's probably gone by now. This is going to be a problem. They kidnapped a federal witness. I stopped them. By jumping out of a 3rd-story window and hijacking a van. I met her eyes in the mirror. You wanted me operational. I'm operational. Frost was quiet for a moment. Then, the man you interrogated, he mentioned a European with a hawk tattoo. Yeah, that's new intel. It's a start. Frost's phone rang. She answered on speaker. Frost? A male voice, clipped and professional. Agent Frost, this is Director Brennan. We need to talk about your asset. Frost's expression didn't change. I'm listening, sir. She just turned a hospital abduction into a public shooting. Local PD is going insane. The media is picking it up. This is becoming a circus. The asset prevented the kidnapping of a key witness by killing 3 people in the street with witnesses. The alternative was letting them disappear him. We'd never see him again. Understood. But we can't have her operating like this. Too much exposure, too much risk. I leaned forward. Then pull me out. Silence on the line. Then Brennan's voice, colder. Who am I speaking to? The asset. This is a secure line. You shouldn't be. I don't care about your protocols. You want me to find whoever's killing my team, fine. But don't tie my hands and then complain when I do what's necessary. Another pause. Agent Frost, is this how you run your operations? Frost's jaw tightened. Sir, with respect, she's right. We're dealing with a coordinated campaign of assassinations. The enemy has resources, intelligence, and reach. If we play by the rules, we lose. And if we don't, we risk exposure. We're already exposed, I said. They know I'm alive. They know Marcus is alive. The only question is whether you're going to help us or get in the way. Silence. Then, you have 48 hours. After that, I'm pulling the plug and handing this to a tactical team. Understood. Understood, Frost said. The line went dead. Frost glanced back at me. You just burned a bridge with the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency. He'll get over it. Will he? I didn't answer. We drove in silence for another 10 minutes. The city slid past. Morning rush hour building. Where are we going? I asked. Safe house. We need to regroup, assess what we know, figure out our next move. What about Perry? Did you reach him? Frost's expression darkened. That's the other problem. What? Perry's dead. My blood went cold. When? 2 hours ago. Found in his apartment. Single gunshot to the head. Staged to look like a suicide, but the scene's wrong. No note, no signs of depression. And the angle of entry doesn't match a self-inflicted wound. I closed my eyes, felt the weight settle in my chest. They're moving fast. Faster than we anticipated. Someone's accelerating the timeline. Because I'm alive, because Marcus is alive, they know we can identify the seller, which means we're running out of time. The SUV turned into an underground parking garage, descended 2 levels, parked in a spot marked reserved. Frost cut the engine. We're here. I climbed out, pulled Marcus from the back seat. He was stirring now, eyelids fluttering. Frost unlocked a steel door at the far end of the garage. Inside was a narrow hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. At the end, another door. Frost punched in a code. The lock clicked. The room beyond was sparse, functional, a bed, a table, a kitchenette, one window with blackout curtains, a weapons locker in the corner. I laid Marcus on the bed, checked his pupils, reactive. The drugs were wearing off. Frost locked the door behind us, engaged the deadbolt. We're off-grid here, no cameras, no trackers, it's clean. For how long? Long enough. Frost moved to the table, opened a laptop, started typing. I'm pulling everything we have on the Kandahar mission, operational reports, after-action reviews, personnel files. There has to be something we missed. I moved to the window, pulled back the curtain an inch. Outside, the city stretched into the distance, morning sun breaking through clouds. Somewhere out there, a killer was crossing names off a list. My name was on that list. Marcus groaned behind me. I turned, his eyes opened. Unfocused at first, then sharpening. He saw me. Recognition flickered. You, he rasped. I moved to his side. Don't talk. You're safe. Safe. He tried to sit up, failed. They took me. From the hospital, I got you back. He stared at me. You jumped out a window. 3 stories. Wasn't that high? He almost smiled. You're insane. You're welcome. Marcus's expression sobered. Perry. My silence was answer enough. Damn. Marcus closed his eyes. We're all that's left, aren't we? From the assault team. Yeah. Then we're dead. It's just a matter of time. Not if we move first. Marcus opened his eyes again. Move how? We don't even know who we're fighting. The man you were investigating, the one from Kandahar. You said he was European, had connections. What else do you remember? Marcus thought for a moment. Accent. Eastern European, maybe. Expensive watch, tailored suit. He didn't look like he belonged in a war zone. And the tattoo. Tattoo. On his wrist. Marcus's eyes widened. How do you know about that? The men who took you, one of them saw it on the contractor who hired them. Marcus sat up slowly, wincing. It's him. Has to be. That tattoo. I saw it in the compound. When we breached, he was standing in the courtyard like he was waiting for us. He was. You think we had a leak? I think someone on that mission was working for him. Someone fed him our approach, our timing, everything. Marcus's jaw tightened. Who? That's what we need to figure out. Frost spoke up from the laptop. I've got the mission roster. 12 personnel total, 5 Delta operators including you two, 3 intelligence officers, 2 contractors, 1 translator, 1 local guide. I moved to the table. Show me. Frost turned the screen. I scanned the names, faces, roles. One name jumped out. David Marsh, intelligence officer. He'd coordinated the mission. Where is he now? I asked. Frost typed. Retired, lives in Vermont, small town, off the grid. Too off the grid. Maybe. Pull his financials, bank records, property, anything unusual. Frost's fingers flew across the keyboard. Seconds passed. Then, here. He bought a property 2 years ago. Cash, $500,000. On an intelligence officer's salary. Not a chance. I leaned closer. Who sold him the property? Frost clicked through records. Stopped. Shell company, registered in the Cayman Islands. Owned by how unknown. It's buried under 6 layers of corporate entities. I straightened. That's our leak. Marsh sold us out, gave the seller our operational plan, got paid for it. And now he's cleaning house, Marcus said from the bed. Eliminating everyone who might connect him to the sale. Frost shook her head. Marsh doesn't have the resources for this, hiring Russian contractors, scrubbing databases, orchestrating hits across multiple states. That takes serious money and infrastructure. Then he's working for someone, I said. The seller, the European with the hawk tattoo. Marsh is just the middleman. We need to talk to Marsh. He won't talk. Then we make him. Frost looked at me. You want to go to Vermont, interrogate a federal intelligence officer. Former intelligence officer, and yes. That's kidnapping, assault, possibly worse. It's also our only lead. Frost was quiet. Then she closed the laptop. I'll drive. I turned to Marcus. You stay here. Rest. Recover. Like hell. Marcus swung his legs off the bed, stood unsteadily. I'm coming. You can barely walk. I'll manage. You'll slow us down. Marcus met my eyes. Perry was my friend. Wade, Cooper, Carson. They were all my friends. I'm not sitting this out. I studied him, saw the determination, the grief, the anger. I nodded. Fine, but you follow my lead. No heroics. Deal. Frost grabbed keys from a hook by the door. We leave in 10. Gear up. I moved to the weapons locker, opened it. Inside tactical vests, firearms, ammunition, knives, medical supplies. I pulled out a vest, strapped it on, selected a Sig Sauer P320, checked the magazine, racked the slide, tucked a backup Glock in an ankle holster, grabbed extra mags. Marcus did the same, slower, his hands shaking slightly from the drugs still in his system. Frost watched us. You two look like you're going to war. I met her eyes. We are. 10 minutes later, we were in the SUV, heading north on I-95. Destination, a small town in Vermont called Millerton. Population 800, remote, quiet. The kind of place where people didn't ask questions. The kind of place where someone could hide. The drive took 4 hours. Frost drove, I rode shotgun. Marcus stretched out in the back, trying to rest. Failing. Halfway there, Frost's phone rang. She answered on speaker. Frost? Agent Frost, this is Brennan. We've got a situation. Frost's hands tightened on the wheel. What kind of situation? Your safe house, the one in the city. It's been compromised. My stomach dropped. How? Unknown. But 15 minutes ago, a tactical team breached the building. Full assault. They didn't find anyone, but they tore the place apart. Whoever they are, they knew exactly where to look. Frost glanced at me. Do we have footage? Cameras were disabled before they went in. Clean work. Professional. How did they find it? That's what I want to know. That location was classified. Only 3 people had access to it. Who? You, me, and Deputy Director Sullivan. Silence in the car. Then I said it. Someone in your agency is feeding them intel. Brennan's voice was tight. I'm aware. I'm initiating an internal investigation. But until we identify the leak, assume all channels are compromised. Go dark, no contact, no check-ins, nothing. Understood. And Agent Frost, whatever you're planning, do it fast. Because whoever's behind this is 2 steps ahead of us. The line went dead. Frost exhaled slowly. We've got a mole. High level, I said. Someone with access to classified safe houses and operational intelligence. Which means everything we do is being watched. Not everything. They didn't know we left the city. They didn't know we're heading to Vermont. Not yet. We drove in silence for another hour. The city gave way to suburbs, then farmland, then forest. The trees closed in on either side of the highway, dense and dark. My phone buzzed. The burner. Unknown number again. I answered. Who is this? A voice, distorted, mechanical. You should have stayed dead, Phantom 6. My blood went cold. How did you get this number? The same way I got your safe house. The same way I'll get you. You can't hide. You can't run. You're already a ghost. I'm just making it official. Big words from someone hiding behind a voice modulator. I'm not hiding. I'm waiting. And when you get to Millerton, I'll be there. The line went dead. I lowered the phone, looked at Frost. They know where we're going. Frost's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. It's a trap. Of course it is. So we turn around. I shook my head. We go anyway. That's insane. That's our only move. Marsh is the key. If he's still alive, we need him. If he's dead, we need to know who killed him and why. Marcus leaned forward from the back seat. She's right. We don't have time to regroup. We push forward or we lose. Frost was quiet for a long moment. Then, fine, but we go in smart. Recon first, full tactical approach, no heroics. I nodded. Agreed. We exited the highway an hour later, took back roads through dense forest. The GPS showed Millerton ahead, 3 miles. Population markers appeared, then disappeared. Frost pulled over half a mile outside town. Cut the engine. We walk from here, she said. We geared up in silence. Vests, weapons. Comms. I pulled a suppressor from the locker, threaded it onto my SIG. Marcus checked his rifle. What's the plan? He asked. We find Marsh's property, surveil, identify threats, then we move. And if they're waiting for us, I met his eyes, then we adapt. We moved into the forest, single file. I took point. The trees were thick, the ground soft with pine needles. No sound except our footsteps and the distant call of birds. Millerton appeared through the trees, small, quaint. Main Street with a general store. A post office, a diner, houses scattered on the outskirts, smoke rising from chimneys. Frost consulted a tablet. Marsh's property is northwest, 2 miles isolated, no neighbors within half a mile. We skirted the town, staying in the tree line. 30 minutes later we saw it, a cabin, wood and stone, surrounded by trees, one road in, gravel and narrow, no vehicles visible. I raised binoculars, scanned the windows, no movement, no lights. Looks abandoned, Marcus whispered. Or staged to look that way, I said. Frost keyed her comm. I'll circle around back. Marcus take the east side. Evie approach from the front. We move on your signal. They split up. I crept forward, low and slow, using the trees for cover, reached the edge of the clearing, 50 yards to the cabin, no cover except a woodpile near the door. I waited, watched, listened. Nothing. I keyed my comm. In position. Copy, Frost whispered. Set, Marcus added. I moved, crossed the clearing at a run, dropped behind the woodpile, pressed my back against it, raised my weapon. Still nothing. I moved to the door, tried the handle, locked. I pulled a lockpick set from my vest, worked the mechanism. The lock clicked. I pushed the door open. Darkness inside. I entered, weapon raised, sweeping corners, living room, empty, kitchen, empty, hallway leading to 2 rooms. I cleared the first. Bedroom, unmade bed, clothes on the floor. But no Marsh. The second room was an office, desk, filing cabinets, a laptop open, screen dark. I moved to the desk, touched the laptop, still warm. Someone had been here recently. I turned and saw the body. David Marsh, slumped in the corner. Single bullet hole in his forehead, eyes open, blood pooled beneath him. Dead for hours, maybe less. I keyed my comm. Target down. Marsh is dead. Copy. The explosion ripped through the cabin. The blast lifted me off my feet, threw me through the office doorway. I hit the hallway wall, ears ringing, vision whited out. Smoke filled my lungs. Heat seared my exposed skin. The cabin groaned, timbers cracking overhead. I rolled onto my stomach, forced myself up. My vest had taken most of the concussive force, but my ribs screamed. I tasted copper, blood from somewhere. Frost Marcus? My voice sounded distant, muffled, static in my earpiece. Then Marcus's voice, strained. I'm hit. East side collapsed. I staggered toward the front door. Half the living room was gone, blown outward in jagged splinters. Fire licked up the remaining walls. I could see daylight through the smoke. I jumped down into the dirt, rolled, came up scanning. Gunfire cracked from the tree line. Rounds chewed into the burning cabin behind me. I dove behind the wood pile, returned fire. 3-round burst, center mass, professional. The shooting stopped. I counted to 3, moved, sprinted east toward where Marcus had been positioned, found him 20 yards out, pinned under a section of collapsed wall. His leg was twisted wrong, blood soaked through his pants above the knee. Can you move? I asked, already lifting the timber. Hurts like hell. That's not what I asked. He gritted his teeth. Yeah, I can move. I heaved the timber aside, grabbed his vest, hauled him up. He screamed. I didn't stop. Dragged him behind a thick oak, propped him against it. Compound fracture. Bone visible through torn fabric. I pulled medical supplies from my vest. Combat gauze, pressure bandage. I packed the wound, ignored his cursing, wrapped it tight. You're benched, I said. No argument here. Movement in the trees. I raised my weapon. A figure emerged, stumbling. Covered in dust and ash. Frost. She was limping. Left arm hanging limp, face streaked with blood. But she was alive. I moved to her, checked her arm, dislocated shoulder. "This is going to hurt," I said. "Just do it." I positioned myself, counted to 3, popped the shoulder back into place. Frost's scream echoed through the forest, birds scattered from trees. "Marsh?" she asked through clenched teeth. "Dead before we got here. The explosion was secondary, insurance to take us out." "Or slow us down," I nodded. "They're still here, watching, waiting to see if we survived." Marcus checked his rifle. "So what's the play?" I scanned the tree line. The fire behind us was spreading, smoke billowing into the sky. Local fire department would respond eventually, but we were remote. Response time would be slow. "We move," I said. "Now, before they regroup." I helped Marcus stand, took his weight on my shoulder. Frost retrieved her sidearm from where she'd dropped it during the blast. We moved into the forest, heading south, away from town. I led, keeping to thick cover, pausing every 50 yards to listen. No pursuit, not yet. After 10 minutes, we reached a dry creek bed, good defensive position. I lowered Marcus against the bank, turned to Frost. "We need transport. The SUV's compromised. They'll have eyes on it." Frost pulled out her phone. No signal. She cursed. "We're in a dead zone." "How far to the nearest town with cell coverage?" 5 miles, maybe 6. I looked at Marcus. His face was pale, slick with sweat, shock setting in. "He can't walk that." "Then we carry him." "In the open, we'll be sitting ducks." Frost's jaw tightened. "What's your alternative?" I was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then, we go loud. "What? They want us dead, fine, but they're not expecting us to fight back. Not here, not now. We hit them first, hard. Make them regret setting that trap. With what we've got 2 functional weapons and a wounded operator. We've got surprise. They think we're running. Let's prove them wrong." Marcus spoke up, voice weak. "She's right. We're dead anyway if we run. At least this way we take some of them with us." Frost studied me. "You're serious?" "Always." Frost exhaled. "Fine. What's the plan?" I pulled out my tablet, called up satellite imagery I'd downloaded before we'd lost signal, zoomed in on the area around Marsh's property, spotted a logging road half a mile north, single access point, perfect bottleneck. "They came in on this road," I said, pointing, "which means their vehicles are parked somewhere along it. We take out their transport, we trap them here. And then we hunt." Frost looked at Marcus. "You good here alone?" He nodded. "I'll keep watch. Anyone comes, I'll make noise." I handed him my backup Glock, 2 spare mags. "Don't be a hero." Too late for that. Frost and I moved out, heading north through dense undergrowth. The forest was silent except for the distant crackle of the burning cabin. No birds, no insects, just the oppressive quiet that came before violence. We reached the logging road in 15 minutes. It was narrow, overgrown, barely visible through the trees. I raised binoculars, scanned, 200 yards up the road, 3 vehicles, black SUVs, government issue but unmarked, no visible occupants. I lowered the binoculars, handed them to Frost. 3 vehicles, call it 9 to 12 hostiles. Against 2 of us. Better odds than I've had before. When, Kandahar, 12 against 3, we made it out. Barely, I smiled. Close enough. We split up. Frost circled west. I went east, converging on the vehicles from opposite sides. I moved slowly, carefully, checking my angles. The SUVs were parked in a rough line, engines off, windows tinted. I reached the tree line adjacent to the first vehicle, raised my weapon, scanned for movement. Nothing. I keyed my comm. "In position." "Copy," Frost whispered. "On your mark." I counted down from 3. On 1, I stepped out of cover and fired 3 rounds into the first SUV's front tire, 3 into the second, 3 into the third. The tires exploded with sharp hisses. The vehicles sagged. Shouts erupted from somewhere in the forest. Men running. I didn't wait. I moved to the first SUV, smashed the driver's window with my rifle butt, reached inside, popped the hood. Frost did the same with the second vehicle. I opened the hood, pulled my knife, sliced through wiring harnesses, fuel lines, anything critical. The engine was dead in 30 seconds. Gunfire erupted. Rounds chewed into the SUV's hood. I dropped, scrambled underneath, crawled to the rear, came up firing. 2 hostiles, 30 yards out, tactical gear, no insignia, moving fast. My first burst caught one in the chest. He went down. The second dove behind a tree. I adjusted, fired where I thought he'd reappear. He didn't. Frost's voice in my ear. 4 more. West side, fall back to rally point. Negative, I've got them pinned. I moved, sprinting toward Frost's position. I could hear the firefight, short controlled bursts, professional cadence. Frost knew what she was doing. I flanked wide, came up on the hostiles from behind. They were focused on Frost, advancing by bounds, standard military tactics. I opened fire, caught the trailing man in the back. He dropped. The others scattered, returning fireblind. I moved, using trees for cover, keeping pressure. One hostile broke and ran. I tracked him, squeezed the trigger. Click. Empty mag. I dropped behind cover. Ejected the spent magazine, slapped in a fresh one, racked the slide. The runner was gone, disappeared into the forest. Frost emerged from the opposite side, weapon raised. Clear. One got away. They'll regroup, call for backup. Then we moved fast. We ran back toward Marcus's position, weapons up, scanning for threats. My lungs burned, my ribs ached. Adrenaline was the only thing keeping me upright. We found Marcus where we'd left him, still conscious, weapon trained on the tree line. Heard shooting, he said. We kicked the hornet's nest. And they're down 3, maybe 4, but more will come. Frost checked her phone, still no signal. We need to move, get to higher ground, find coverage. I helped Marcus up, took his weight again. Frost took point. We moved east, climbing elevation, pushing through underbrush that tore at our clothes and skin. 20 minutes later, Frost's phone buzzed. Signal, weak but there. Make the call. Frost dialed. Waited. This is Agent Frost DIA. I need immediate extraction. 3 personnel, 1 critical, coordinates. She read off the GPS. Pause. How fast can you get here? Listening. Copy. We'll hold position. She hung up. Choppers inbound. ETA 30 minutes. Can we hold that long? We don't have a choice. I found a defensible position, a rocky outcropping with good sight lines and cover. I positioned Marcus behind a boulder, handed him my rifle. You're our overwatch. Anyone comes up that hill, you light them up. What are you doing? Setting a welcome mat. Frost and I moved back down the slope, pulling tripwires from our vests, stringing them between trees. Crude but effective. Anyone coming fast would hit them. We finished in 5 minutes, moved back to the outcropping, waited. The forest was quiet again. Too quiet. I checked my watch. 25 minutes until extraction. A twig snapped. East side, maybe 50 yards out. I raised my weapon. Frost did the same. Marcus shifted. Aiming down slope, figures moved through the trees, not running, advancing carefully, professional. I counted. 4, no 5, spread out, coordinated. Contact, I whispered into my comm. The figures stopped. One raised a hand, the others froze. My finger tightened on the trigger. Then a voice, amplified, echoing through the forest. Phantom 6, we know you're there. We know you're wounded. This doesn't have to end badly. I didn't respond. We're not here to kill you. We're here to talk. Bullshit, Frost muttered. The voice continued. You want to know who killed your team. We can tell you. But you need to come down, alone, unarmed. My jaw tightened. You have 60 seconds to decide. Frost looked at me. It's a trap. Of course it is. So we don't take it. I was quiet. Then, what if it's not? You can't be serious. They had us dead in that cabin. They didn't need to talk. They could have just waited for the fire to finish us. But they're here, offering terms. Offering bait? Maybe, but we're out of moves. Extraction's still 20 minutes out. We're low on ammo. Marcus is fading. If there's even a chance we can get intel, you'll be dead before you get 10 steps. I met her eyes. Then cover me. Before Frost could argue, I stood, holstered my weapon, raised my hands. I'm coming down. Evie, don't, Marcus said, voice weak. I started walking. Down the slope, slow, hands visible, heart hammering, face calm. The figures watched me approach, 4 men in tactical gear. The 5th, the one who'd spoken, stood in front, older, 50s, gray hair, expensive jacket over body armor. He lowered the megaphone. Phantom 6, he said, Eastern European accent, not Russian, something else. We meet at last. I stopped 10 feet away. Who are you? Someone who's been cleaning up a very expensive mistake. The chemical weapon, he smiled. So you do remember. Good. That saves time. You were the buyer. I was the facilitator. The buyers were men far wealthier and more powerful than you can imagine. Men who don't like loose ends. And my team. A loose end. You saw me. You saw the transaction. You destroyed the product. That cost my clients a great deal of money. So you killed them, one by one. Not personally, but yes, orders were given, assets deployed, most went quietly. A car accident here, a mugging there, but you... He shook his head. You were supposed to be dead, officially dead, and yet here you are. Here I am, he studied me. You're not afraid. I'm terrified. I'm just better at hiding it than you. He laughed. I like you, Phantom 6. It's a shame we're on opposite sides. We don't have to be. Oh, tell me who gave you our operational plan, who leaked the intel, and I walk away. Just like that. Just like that. He considered it, then nodded. His name was David Marsh. But you already know that. Who's above him? That's the question, isn't it? He stepped closer. Marsh was small-time, a middleman. He fed me information for money. But the real architect, the one who sanctioned this entire operation, including your mission, that's classified at a level you'll never reach. Try me, he smiled. Deputy Director James Sullivan, Defense Intelligence Agency. He's been selling secrets for 15 years, to me, to others. He's made a fortune. My blood went cold. Sullivan? You're lying. Am I... Check his financials, offshore accounts, shell companies, properties in Monaco, Dubai, Singapore. He's not even hiding it well. He just thinks he's untouchable. Why are you telling me this? Because Sullivan is a liability. He's grown careless, greedy. He wants more money for less work. He's become a problem. And I'm the solution. You're sharp. I like that. He pulled back his sleeve. There it was, the hawk tattoo, black ink. Stylized bird in flight. I want you to expose him, publicly. Let your agency tear itself apart. It's far cleaner than anything I could do. And if I refuse, then my men kill you, your friends, everyone you've ever spoken to. We burn this entire operation to ash and start over. That's not much of a choice. It's the only choice you have. I was silent for a long moment. Then, how do I know you'll keep your word? You don't, but consider this. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be gone. I'm offering you a way out, a way to survive. All you have to do is destroy the man who betrayed you. My fists clenched. I need proof, something I can use. He reached into his jacket. I tensed. The men behind him raised their weapons. He pulled out a flash drive, held it up. Everything you need, financial records, encrypted communications, transactions, enough to bury Sullivan 10 times over. He tossed it. I caught it. Use it wisely, he said. And remember, we're not enemies, we're businessmen. This is just business. I pocketed the drive. What's your name? Does it matter? I like to know who I'm dealing with. He smiled. Call me Victor. It's not my real name, but it'll do. I turned to leave. Phantom 6. I stopped. Your helicopter will be here in 15 minutes. I suggest you be gone by then, because if we meet again, this conversation will end very differently. I didn't respond, just walked back up the slope, hands steady, breathing controlled, every instinct screaming. I reached the outcropping. Frost grabbed me. What the hell were you thinking? I pulled out the flash drive. Getting us leverage. What is that? Proof that Sullivan is the mole, Frost stared. He told you that. He wants Sullivan exposed, says it's better for business. And you believe him. I believe he's telling the truth about Sullivan. The rest. I shrugged. We'll figure it out. The sound of rotors echoed in the distance. The helicopter. A UH-60 Blackhawk, military green. It circled once, then descended into a clearing. The side door opened. A crew chief waved us in. I loaded Marcus first, then Frost. I climbed in last, pulled the door shut. The helicopter lifted, banking hard, climbing fast. Below, the forest shrank away. Smoke rose from Marsh's cabin. The SUV sat abandoned on the logging road. And in the clearing where I'd spoken with Victor, 5 figures stood watching the helicopter disappear. Frost handed me a headset. I plugged in. "What now?" she asked. I looked at the flash drive in my hand. "Now we go after Sullivan." The helicopter flew south, back toward the city. The pilot's voice crackled over the headset. ETA 45 minutes. Medical standing by for the wounded. I looked at Marcus. His eyes were closed, breathing shallow. He'd lost blood, too much. But he was still alive. Frost was on her phone, secure line, coordinating something. I turned the flash drive over in my hand. Small, innocuous. But if Victor was telling the truth, it contained enough evidence to topple one of the most powerful men in U.S. intelligence. If he was lying, I just walked into a trap that would destroy any credibility I had left. Either way, I was committed. The city skyline rose ahead, glass and steel catching the afternoon light. Somewhere down there, Sullivan was sitting in his office. Thinking he was safe, he was wrong. Frost ended her call, looked at me. "I need access to a secure terminal," I said. "Somewhere off the grid." "I know a place. Journalist safe house, used for whistleblowers. It's clean." "How soon can we get there?" 2 hours after we land. I nodded. "Do it." The helicopter touched down at a military hospital on the outskirts of the city. Medical personnel rushed out with a gurney. They loaded Marcus, rushed him inside. I climbed out. Frost followed. A man in a suit waited near the building entrance. Tall, thin, nervous. "Agent Frost," he said. "That's me. Director Brennan wants to see you, immediately. I'm in the middle of an operation." "He knows. That's why he wants to see you." Frost glanced at me. "This is bad." "Then let's get it over with." We followed the man inside, through sterile white hallways, past security checkpoints, into an elevator that descended 3 floors. The doors opened into a secure briefing room. Director Warren Brennan sat at the head of a long table. 50s military background. Face like carved granite. He didn't stand when we entered. "Sit," he said. We sat. Brennan leaned forward. "Do you have any idea what kind of mess you've created?" Frost kept her voice steady. "We were following a lead on, you were supposed to be investigating assassinations, not blowing up cabins in Vermont, not engaging in firefights with unidentified hostiles, not operating without authorization. With respect, sir, we were ambushed. And you survived. Congratulations. But now you've drawn attention. Media's picking up the story. Local PD wants answers. And I have congressional oversight breathing down my neck." I spoke up. "We have proof." Brennan's eyes shifted to me. "Proof of what?" "That Deputy Director Sullivan is the leak, that he's been selling intelligence to foreign contractors for years." Silence. Brennan's expression didn't change. "That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth." I pulled out the flash drive, set it on the table. "Everything's on here. Financial records, encrypted comms, transactions, enough to bury him." Brennan stared at the drive. "Where did you get this?" "A source." "What source?" "One I can't disclose." "That's not good enough." "It'll have to be." Brennan's jaw tightened. "You're asking me to investigate my own deputy director based on evidence from an unnamed source. Do you have any idea how that sounds?" "It sounds like justice." "It sounds like a setup." I leaned forward. "Then verify it. Check Sullivan's financials, his travel records, his communications. If I'm wrong, you lose nothing. If I'm right, you stop a traitor." Brennan was quiet for a long moment. Then, "You're off the case, both of you. Effective immediately. Frost's eyes widened. Sir, you can't. I can and I am. You've gone rogue, violated protocol, put civilians at risk. I'm pulling you in before you do any more damage. If you pull us, Sullivan walks, I said. Then he walks. I'll investigate him through proper channels. He'll destroy the evidence before you get close. That's my problem, not yours. Brennan pointed at the door. You're done. Go home, get some rest, and pray I don't file charges. I stood slowly. You're making a mistake. The only mistake I made was letting you operate in the first place. I walked out. Frost followed, face pale. In the hallway, Frost grabbed my arm. He's covering for Sullivan. Or Sullivan has something on him. Either way, we're shut down. I kept walking. No, we're just getting started. You heard him. We're off the case. He took us off his case, not mine. Frost stopped. What are you planning? I turned. Sullivan wants us buried. Fine. Let's show him what happens when you bury a ghost. How? We leak the drive to the media, to Congress, to everyone. Make it so public he can't hide. That's illegal. You'll go to prison. Only if I get caught. Frost stared at me. Then slowly she smiled. You're out of your mind. Yeah, but I'm right. When? Tonight, before Sullivan realizes what we have. We took a service elevator to the parking garage. Frost's personal car was on the 3rd level. A beat-up sedan that didn't draw attention. We climbed in. Frost started the engine. Where to? She asked. The journalist's safe house you mentioned. We need a secure terminal and an encrypted uplink. Frost pulled out of the garage, merged into traffic. The city was alive with evening rush hour, lights, noise, people living their lives, oblivious to the war being fought in the shadows. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again, I answered. What? Victor's voice. Did you enjoy your meeting with Director Brennan? My blood went cold. How do you? I told you, I have eyes everywhere, including inside your agency. What do you want? To remind you of our agreement. You expose Sullivan publicly tonight or I start killing people you care about. I don't care about anyone. Liar, Agent Frost, Marcus Webb, the nurses at Riverside Memorial, your old team's families. Should I go on? My grip tightened on the phone. You touch them. Then do your job, and remember, I'm not your enemy. Sullivan is. I'm just the man making sure you finish what you started. The line went dead. I lowered the phone. He's watching us, I said. Who? Victor. He knew about the meeting with Brennan. He knows where we are. Frost's hands tightened on the wheel. Then we're being tracked. Phone car could be anything. Frost pulled into an alley, killed the engine. Get out! We abandoned the car, pulled batteries from our phones, stripped down to our base layers, checking for trackers, found nothing. Could be in our gear, Frost said. Vests, weapons. We dumped everything in a dumpster except our sidearms and IDs. Now what? Frost asked. I spotted a cab at the end of the alley, flagged it down. We improvise. 20 minutes later, we arrived at an old brownstone in a quiet neighborhood. Frost paid cash. We got out. This is it, I asked. Doesn't look like much, but it's secure. 3 layers of encryption, satellite uplink, off the grid. Frost knocked 3 times. Pause, twice more. The door opened. A woman stood there, early 40s, sharp eyes, tattoos visible on her forearms. Marissa, the woman said. Been a while. Hey, Kira, I need a favor. Kira looked at me. Who's she? Someone who's about to make a lot of noise. Kira stepped aside. Come in. The interior was sparse but functional. Computers, servers, satellite equipment. Everything a whistleblower needed to expose secrets. Kira closed the door, locked it. What do you need? I pulled out the flash drive. I need to upload this everywhere. News outlets, Congress, WikiLeaks, everywhere that matters. Kira took the drive. What's on it? Proof that a senior intelligence official is selling secrets to foreign contractors. Kira whistled. That'll cause a storm. That's the idea. Kira moved to a terminal, plugged in the drive. Give me 10 minutes. Frost and I waited. I paced. Frost sat, head in her hands. You okay? I asked. I just threw away my career. You did the right thing. Did I just help a ghost settle a score? I stopped pacing. You think this is about revenge, isn't it? It's about justice, for my team, for everyone Sullivan sold out. And after when Sullivan's gone, what then? I didn't answer. Kira spoke up. It's done. The drive's contents are uploaded to 12 different servers, cloud-based, distributed. Even if they take one down, the others will propagate. How long until it goes public? I'm sending it to 6 major news outlets right now. They'll have it within the hour. By morning, it'll be everywhere. I nodded. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just make sure it was worth it. Frost and I left the brownstone, walked 2 blocks, hailed another cab, gave the address of a hotel downtown, paid cash, checked in under fake names. The room was small, 2 beds, a window overlooking the street. I sat on the bed, finally allowing myself to breathe. My ribs ached. My hand shook from adrenaline crash. But it was done. Frost turned on the TV. News. Local station. Nothing yet. We waited. An hour passed. Then another. At 11 p.m., the breaking news banner flashed across the screen. This just in. Explosive allegations against a high-ranking Defense Intelligence Agency official. Documents obtained by this station show evidence of espionage, bribery, and treason. Deputy Director James Sullivan is at the center of the scandal. We go now to our investigative team. I watched as my team's faces appeared on screen. Wade, Cooper, Carson, and Gwen, Perry, all dead, all victims of Sullivan's greed. The anchor's voice continued. Authorities are calling this one of the largest intelligence breaches in recent history. Sullivan is currently being sought for questioning. More on this story as it develops. Frost turned off the TV. It's done, I nodded. Yeah. So why don't you look relieved? Because it's not over. What do you mean? I stood, moved to the window, looked out at the city. Victor's still out there. Sullivan was just one piece. There's more. There's always more. Yeah. They sat in silence for a long moment. Then my phone buzzed. The new burner I'd picked up at a convenience store, I answered. A different voice. Female, cold. You just made a very powerful man very angry. Who is this? Someone who's been watching you for a long time. You're good, Phantom 6. Better than I expected. But you made a mistake. What mistake? You trusted Victor. You believed his story. And now you're going to pay for it. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about? The flash drive, the evidence, it's real, but it's not complete. Victor gave you just enough to expose Sullivan, but the real architect, the one pulling Victor's strings, you never even got close. Who? That's the wrong question. The right question is, why did Victor want Sullivan gone? I felt my mind racing. He's clearing the board, removing competition. Bingo! And you just helped him do it. Congratulations, you've been played. The line went dead. I lowered the phone, stared at it. Frost stood. What's wrong? We were played. Victor used us to take out Sullivan. But Sullivan wasn't the top. There's someone above him. Who? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. My phone buzzed again. Text message. Unknown number. I opened it. A photo. Black and white. Surveillance footage. Timestamp 3 hours ago. It showed Director Brennan in a parking garage, shaking hands with Victor. Below the image, one line of text. Who do you trust now? I showed Frost. She stared at the screen. No. Yeah. That's not possible. Brennan's been with the agency for 20 years. He's compromised, or he's been running this operation from the start. Frost sat down hard on the bed. If Brennan's involved, then everything we did was part of his plan, exposing Sullivan, going after Victor, all of it. My mind worked through the angles. Brennan had authorized Frost's investigation, had given her access to classified files, had known our every move, and now Sullivan was burning on every news channel while Brennan sat clean. He used us, I said. Sullivan was the fall guy, the sacrifice, but Brennan stays untouchable. Why? Because Sullivan was greedy, visible, he made mistakes. Brennan's smarter, he's been in the shadows the whole time, letting Sullivan take the heat. Frost's hand shook. So what do? We prove it, publicly, the same way we did with Sullivan. With what evidence that photo could be anything? A meeting, a coincidence. I looked at the image again. The angle was deliberate, professional surveillance. Someone had wanted me to see this, someone who knew exactly how I'd react. My phone buzzed, another text. Parking garage, sublevel 3, Pierce Street Station, 1 hour. Come alone or everyone you've saved dies tonight. I showed Frost. It's a trap, she said. Of course it is. Then you can't go. I don't have a choice. Frost stood. We call it in. Federal Response Team. SWAT. We do this by the book. Who do we call? Brennan's the director. Anyone we contact reports to him. Then we go to the media, show them the photo. A photo proves nothing. We need hard evidence, names, transactions, the kind of proof that can't be ignored. And you think Victor's going to just hand that over? I was quiet for a moment. Then, no, but he'll have it. And I'm going to take it. Frost grabbed my arm. You walk into that garage, you're not walking out. Maybe, but if I don't, Brennan wins, Victor wins, and everyone who died for nothing stays dead for nothing. That's not... It's exactly that. I pulled my arm free, checked my weapon. Full mag, 1 spare, not much. But it would have to do. I holstered it, grabbed my jacket. Where are you going? Frost asked. To get insurance. I left before she could argue. The hotel lobby was empty except for a bored desk clerk scrolling through his phone. I walked past without making eye contact. Pushed through the glass doors into the night. The city was colder now, wind cutting through the streets. I flagged a cab 3 blocks away, gave the driver an address 2 blocks from Pierce Street Station, paid cash, got out. I walked the rest of the way, keeping to shadows, checking my 6 every 30 seconds. No tail that I could see, but that didn't mean anything. Victor's people were professionals. Pierce Street Station was an old metro hub, half abandoned since they'd built the new transit center uptown. The main entrance was chained shut. Graffiti covered the walls. Homeless encampments dotted the perimeter. I found the parking garage entrance on the south side. The gate was open. I slipped inside. The garage was dark, lit only by failing fluorescent tubes that buzzed and flickered. My footsteps echoed on concrete. I descended the ramp, weapon drawn, scanning corners, sublevel 1, empty, sublevel 2, empty, sublevel 3. A single black sedan sat in the center of the level. Engine off, lights off, no visible occupants. I approached slowly. Weapon raised, finger on the trigger. I circled the vehicle, checked the windows, tinted. I couldn't see inside. I reached for the driver's door handle. I wouldn't do that. I spun. Victor stood 20 feet away, hands in his pockets, calm. 2 men flanked him, armed, professional stance. It's rigged, Victor said. Touch the door and we all go up. I kept my weapon trained on him. Funny way to start a conversation. Insurance, in case you decided to do something foolish. Like shooting you, Sama, exactly like that. I didn't lower my weapon. You wanted to talk, so talk. Victor smiled. Direct. I appreciate that. He took a step forward. His men stayed put. You've had a busy night, exposing Sullivan, very thorough, very public. My compliments. You used me. I gave you the tools. You chose how to use them. To take out your competition. Sullivan wasn't competition. He was a liability, greedy, sloppy. He would have brought attention we didn't need. Victor's smile widened. You saw the photo. You know who I mean. Director Brennan? Director Brennan, yes. A visionary, really. He understood what I understood. That intelligence isn't about nations anymore. It's about money. Information is currency, and we control the market. My jaw tightened. How long? 10 years, give or take. He approached me after a particularly messy operation in Syria, offered me access to classified intel in exchange for a percentage. It's been quite profitable. And the chemical weapon in Kandahar, a transaction, nothing personal. But your team interfered, destroyed the product, cost my clients millions. Brennan agreed they needed to be eliminated, quietly, over time, no patterns. Except I didn't die. No, you didn't, which created a problem, because you're the only one who can identify me, who saw my face. Who knows what happened? I raised my weapon higher. So why am I still breathing? Because you're useful. You exposed Sullivan for us, drew all the attention away from Brennan, and now you're going to do one more thing, which is disappear. My finger tightened on the trigger. Not a chance. You don't have a choice. Brennan's already putting out the narrative. Rogue operative, unstable, killed multiple people in Vermont, fabricated evidence against Sullivan to cover her own crimes. By morning, you'll be the most wanted fugitive in the country. I have proof. A photo, Victor laughed. Meaningless. Brennan will say it's doctored, fake news, and the media will believe him, because he's a decorated director, and you're a ghost who's supposed to be dead. My mind raced. He was right. Without hard evidence, the photo was just noise. I needed something concrete, something Brennan couldn't deny. What do you want? I asked. Simple. You disappear, leave the country. Change your name. Again. We provide the resources, the documentation, a comfortable life somewhere far away. In exchange, you never speak of this, never come back, never become a problem. And if I refuse, then we kill everyone you've ever cared about, starting with Agent Frost, then Marcus Webb, then the staff at Riverside Memorial. We make it slow, public, and we make sure you watch. My hand didn't shake. You're bluffing. Am I? Victor pulled out his phone, held it up. The screen showed a live feed. Frost's hotel room. Frost sitting on the bed, unaware she was being watched. My blood ran cold. Victor pocketed the phone. I have teams positioned at 3 locations. 1 word from me and they move. You have 60 seconds to decide. My mind worked through scenarios. I couldn't take Victor here. Not with his men, not with the car rigged to explode. And even if I did, it wouldn't stop the teams targeting Frost. I needed leverage. I want to talk to Brennan, I said. Victor raised an eyebrow. Why, because I don't negotiate with the middleman. He considered it, then nodded. Fair enough. He pulled out his phone again, dialed, put it on speaker. It rang twice. Then Brennan's voice. Is it done? Not yet, Victor said. She wants to talk to you. A pause. Put her on. Victor held out the phone. I took it. Brennan. Phantom 6, still alive? I have to admire your tenacity. Cut the act. I know what you are. And what's that? A traitor, a murderer, a coward hiding behind a badge. Brennan laughed. Strong words from someone in your position. My position, I'm the one holding evidence that buries you. What evidence? A photo. Please, I've already drafted the press release. Rogue operative, mentally unstable, fabricated allegations. By tomorrow, you'll be discredited and hunted, and I'll be the hero who tried to stop you. Unless I talk. You won't get the chance. Victor's going to make sure of that. My voice dropped. You think I came here alone? Silence. I have backup. Federal agents watching this garage right now. You kill me, they move in, and everything I know goes public. You're lying. Am I? Tell me, Director, if you're so confident, why haven't you ordered Victor to shoot me yet? Another pause, longer this time. Because you know I'm right, I continued. You know if I die here, it all unravels. The media's already digging into Sullivan. How long before they start looking at you, your financials, your travel records? How long before they find the same shell companies, the same offshore accounts? You're grasping. I'm stating facts, and you know it. Brennan's voice hardened. What do you want? Full immunity, public exoneration, and you turn yourself in. That's not going to happen. Then we both lose, because I'm not running, and I'm not disappearing. I'm going to stand here until you make a choice. Save yourself by confessing, or burn with Sullivan. Silence stretched. 10 seconds. 20. Then Brennan spoke, quieter. You've got guts, I'll give you that. But you're still just one person, and I control an entire agency. Not anymore. The evidence is already uploaded, cloud-based, distributed. The second I don't check in, it goes public. Every transaction, every meeting, every name, including yours. You're bluffing. Try me. Another pause. Then, Victor, handle this. The line went dead. I tossed the phone back to Victor. "Well," I said. Victor's expression was unreadable. He looked at his men, looked at me, then he raised his hand. The gunshot echoed through the garage. But it didn't come from Victor's men. One of them dropped, blood spraying from his neck. The second man spun, trying to locate the shooter. Another shot. He went down. Victor dove behind the sedan. I did the same. Different side. Footsteps. Running. Multiple contacts. Frost appeared from the entrance ramp, weapon raised, flanked by 4 tactical operators in federal gear. "Don't move," Frost shouted. Victor stayed behind the car, hands visible. "This is a mistake," he said. "Shut up." Frost moved closer, weapon trained. "Evie, you good?" I stood, holstered my weapon. Define good. Alive. Then, yeah. Frost kept her eyes on Victor. "We got it all, the phone call, Brennan's confession. It's recorded, encrypted, already sent to 3 separate oversight committees." Victor's jaw tightened. "You planned this." "Yeah," I said. "You're not the only one who can set a trap." Frost's team moved in, cuffing Victor, reading him his rights. He didn't resist, just stared at me. "You made a mistake," Victor said quietly. "What's that?" "Brennan won't go quietly. He'll burn everything, everyone, you included. Let him try." They hauled Victor up, dragged him toward the exit. I watched him go, felt nothing. Frost moved beside me. "You lied about having backup." "I improvised." "You told me to stay at the hotel." "I knew you wouldn't." Frost almost smiled. "You're a pain in the ass." "Yeah, but I'm your pain in the ass." We walked out of the garage together. Outside, federal vehicles blocked the street, lights flashing. More agents, more arrests. Frost's phone rang. She answered, listened. Her expression darkened. She hung up. "Brennan's gone." "What?" "Disappeared 30 minutes ago, left his office, didn't tell anyone where he was going. His security detail lost him in downtown traffic." I cursed. "He's running. We've got every airport train station and border crossing on alert. He won't get far." "He doesn't need far, he needs time." Frost's phone rang again. She answered. "Frost." Her eyes widened. "When?" Pause. "Copy. We're on our way." She hung up, looked at me. "Brennan just walked into FBI headquarters. He's surrendering." I blinked. "What?" "He's turning himself in voluntarily. Says he's ready to make a statement." We arrived at FBI headquarters 20 minutes later. The building was swarming with agents, media, federal prosecutors. The story had exploded. News vans lined the street, reporters shouting questions. Frost and I pushed through, showed credentials, got inside. Brennan sat in an interrogation room on the 3rd floor. No cuffs, no lawyer, just him and a glass of water. I watched through the one-way glass. He looked calm, too calm. "What's he doing?" Frost asked. "Playing his last card." A federal prosecutor entered the interrogation room, sat down across from Brennan, started the recording. "Director Brennan, you've waived your right to an attorney, is that correct?" "It is. And you're prepared to make a statement regarding allegations of espionage, bribery, and treason." "I am, but first I need to clarify something. I didn't commit treason, I prevented it." The prosecutor frowned. "Explain." Brennan leaned forward. "James Sullivan was selling intelligence to foreign contractors for years. I discovered it 2 years ago. Instead of exposing him immediately, I went undercover, infiltrated his network, gathered evidence. I fed him false information, controlled what he sold, tracked his buyers, including Viktor Kozlov." My stomach dropped. Brennan continued. "Everything I did was authorized, off-book, classified. A long-term counterintelligence operation designed to dismantle an international espionage ring." "Then why didn't you report it?" "Because the moment I did the operation would have been compromised. Sullivan would have run, Victor would have disappeared, and we'd have lost our chance to take down the entire network." "What about the Kandahar mission? The deaths of multiple operators?" "Tactical decisions." Brennan's voice didn't waver. "Those operators were compromised. Victor knew their identities. They were liabilities. I made the call to eliminate them before Victor could use them as leverage. It was the only way to maintain operational security." The prosecutor stared. You killed your own people. I saved thousands of others by keeping the operation running, by preventing Victor from selling that chemical weapon to actual terrorists. The weapon was destined for Chechnya. We destroyed it because of my operation. I felt sick. Brennan looked directly at the camera, at me. Phantom 6 was a variable I didn't account for. She survived when she shouldn't have, compromised the mission parameters, but even that I adapted, used her to expose Sullivan publicly, created a controlled narrative that protected the larger operation. The prosecutor's voice was cold. You're saying you're a hero. I'm saying I did what was necessary, and I have documentation, classified authorizations, encrypted directives from oversight. Everything proves I was operating within legal parameters for a sanctioned counterintelligence operation. I turned away from the glass, walked down the hallway. Frost followed. He's lying. Is he? Evie. Think about it. If he buried the paperwork deep enough, classified it high enough, it could take years to disprove. And by then, he's not a villain, just a complicated figure, a man who made hard choices. That's insane. That's Washington. They stood in silence. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. A woman's voice, the same one from before. Congratulations, you just handed Brennan his exit strategy. Who is this? Someone who's been watching this entire time, cleaning up after both of you. CIA, a pause. NSA, close enough. What do you want? To warn you. Brennan's not the architect. He never was. He's middle management. The real power is still out there, still operating. And you just made their job easier by removing Sullivan and Victor. I felt my mind racing. You're lying. Check Brennan's accounts, the offshore ones. You'll find they were funded by someone else, someone with access to black budgets, someone who's been orchestrating this for 15 years. Who? That's the wrong question. The right question is, why are you still alive? The line went dead. I lowered the phone, stared at it. Frost watched me. What? We've been playing the wrong game. What do you mean? Well, Brennan's not the architect. He's another fall guy, bigger than Sullivan, but still expendable. Someone else is running this, someone we haven't touched. Who? I don't know. But I'm going to find out. We walked back toward the interrogation room. Through the glass, Brennan was still talking, still spinning his story, and the prosecutor was starting to look convinced. My phone buzzed again. Text message, a single line. Want the truth? Check the flash drive, file 23, password Phantom. I pulled out my tablet, connected to the secure cloud where Kira had uploaded the evidence. Found file 23, it was encrypted, separate from the rest. I entered the password, the file opened. It was an audio recording, dated 3 years ago, 2 weeks before the Kandahar mission. I hit play. 2 voices. One was Brennan, the other made my blood turn to ice. It was my own voice. The conversation was brief, professional. Brennan asking about mission readiness, me, Phantom 6, confirming equipment personnel objectives. Then Brennan's voice. And you're clear on the secondary objective, my voice. Yes, sir. Identify the buyer, confirm the transaction, let it proceed. And the team? They'll be told it's a destruction mission, standard protocol. Good. Once the transaction is confirmed, eliminate all witnesses, no loose ends. Understood. The recording ended. I stared at the screen. My hands were numb. Frost grabbed my arm. That's not real. It's fabricated, audio manipulation, deepfake technology. Is it? My voice was hollow. That's my voice, my cadence, my speech pattern. It's AI generated. They can replicate anyone now. I shook my head. What if it's not? What if I was part of this? What if I knew the mission was dirty and I agreed anyway? You don't remember. I remember the mission, the firefight, saving Marcus, but the briefing. I closed my eyes. It's gone, blank, like it was erased. Memory suppression, chemical or psychological. Or I buried it because I couldn't live with what I'd done. Frost stepped closer. Listen to me. Even if that recording were real, and I don't believe it is, it doesn't change who you are now. You've exposed corruption, Saved lives. You're not a weapon. You're a person who refused to stay one. I looked at her. Am I? Before Frost could answer, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed in the hallway, a voice over the intercom. Lock down all personnel, secure positions. We have a breach. Agents ran past, weapons drawn, shouts echoed. Frost grabbed me. We need to move. They ran toward the exit. The building shook. Explosion somewhere below them. Smoke filled the stairwell. They kept moving, reached the ground floor. More explosions. The front entrance was gone, replaced by fire and rubble. Frost and I pushed through the smoke, stumbled outside. The street was chaos, emergency vehicles, casualties, and in the middle of it all, standing calmly, was a figure in a long coat. I couldn't see their face, but I knew. The architect. The figure raised a hand, waved, and disappeared into the smoke. I tried to follow, but Frost pulled me back. We need to get clear. The building's collapsing. I looked up. Frost was right. The top floors were sagging, cracks spiderwebbing up the facade. They ran. Got 2 blocks away before the building came down. The sound was deafening, a roar of concrete and steel and glass. The shockwave knocked them both to the ground. When the dust settled, FBI headquarters was gone, just rubble and fire. I stood slowly, stared at the destruction. Frost's voice was shaking. How many people were in there? I didn't answer. Couldn't. My phone buzzed. One last text. You wanted the truth. Now you have it. Everyone you fought to save is dead because of you. Sleep well, Phantom 6. I dropped the phone, but then something shifted inside me. I stayed on my knees for exactly 10 seconds. Then I stood. Frost was still talking, something about casualties, about getting to safety, but I wasn't listening. I was watching the smoke, watching the figure that had disappeared. The architect was still here, close, watching. I turned to Frost. How many people were in that building? Frost pulled out her phone, tried calling. No answer. Tried again. Nothing. I don't know, maybe 200, admin staff, agents, prosecutors. Brennan? Frost's face went pale. She dialed again, listened, hung up. He was on the 3rd floor, interrogation wing. That section collapsed first. So he's dead? Probably. I picked up my phone from where I'd dropped it. The screen was cracked but functional. I opened the last text. Read it again. Everyone you fought to save is dead because of you. No, I said it out loud. No. Frost looked at me. What? They want me to believe this is my fault, that I'm the weapon, that I caused this. Evie. But I didn't plant those explosives. I didn't bring down that building. Someone else did. Someone who's been 2 steps ahead this entire time. I looked at Frost. They made a mistake. What mistake? They went big, public, designed to cause maximum chaos and pin it on me. But chaos creates evidence, witnesses, forensics. You can't blow up a federal building without leaving a trail. Frost's eyes narrowed. You want to investigate the bombing. I want to find who did it because they're the key to everything. Brennan, Sullivan, Victor, all of them were just pieces. The architect is still out there. Sirens wailed in the distance. Emergency vehicles arriving, fire trucks, ambulances, federal response teams. The area would be locked down in minutes. Frost grabbed my arm. We need to move before they quarantine the scene. Where? Somewhere we can think, regroup, figure out our next move. We ran, cut through alleyways, avoided main streets, came out 6 blocks away in a commercial district. Frost flagged a cab. We climbed in. Where to? The driver asked. Frost hesitated, then gave an address. A diner on the outskirts of the city. 24-hour place. Anonymous. The driver nodded, pulled away. I leaned back, closed my eyes. Let the adrenaline drain. My ribs ached. My ears still rang from the explosion. But my mind was clear. For the first time since this started, I knew what I had to do. Not run, not hide, not play defense, hunt. The diner was nearly empty when we arrived. A waitress behind the counter, a cook in the back, 2 truckers at a booth. Frost and I took a corner table, ordered coffee, waited until the waitress left. What now? Frost asked. Now we find the architect. How? We don't even know who they are. We start with what we know. Brennan was middle management, Sullivan was a cutout. Someone funded them both, someone with access to black budgets and classified operations. That's a short list, deputy director level or higher. Then we narrow it down. Who's left in that position? Frost thought. 3 people. Deputy Director Forensics Mark Ryland, Deputy Director Operations Sarah Kellerman, and Deputy Director Intelligence Richard Harmon. I pulled up personnel files on my tablet, started with Ryland, career bureaucrat, 15 years in forensics, clean record, no red flags. Kellerman, former field operative, solid background, multiple commendations. Nothing unusual. Harmon, I stopped. Richard Harmon, 52, 25 years with the agency, multiple overseas postings, Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq. He'd been in Kandahar 3 years ago, not on the mission, but in the region, coordinating intelligence. My pulse quickened. I dug deeper. Harmon's financial records were clean, too clean. No offshore accounts visible, no shell companies, nothing, which was exactly the problem. Someone with Harmon's access and postings should have some irregularities, I said. Expense discrepancies, travel anomalies, something. But his records are perfect, meaning they've been scrubbed or fabricated. I pulled up Harmon's travel logs, cross-referenced them with operational reports from Kandahar, found a gap, 3 days in August, 3 years ago, right before the mission. Harmon's logs showed him in Washington, but operational cables showed someone with his clearance accessing classified briefings in Kandahar. He was there, I said. He was in Kandahar when the mission was planned, and then he disappeared from the records. Frost leaned closer. That's not proof. It's a thread. I kept digging, found communications logs, encrypted messages between Kandahar and Washington during the mission. Sender unknown, recipient unknown. But the routing signature matched Harmon's clearance level. He was coordinating, I said, feeding intel to both sides, us and Victor, making sure the mission went exactly how he wanted. Why, what does he gain, I thought. Then it clicked. Control, Brennan said it himself. Intelligence is currency. Harmon's been selling access to the highest levels of classified operations, not just to Victor, to anyone who pays. He uses people like Brennan and Sullivan as cutouts. If they get caught, he stays clean. And when Brennan was about to talk, Harmon silenced him. Along with everyone else in that building. Frost sat back. We need to move on this fast before Harmon realizes we're on to him. He already knows. Because he's been watching us the whole time, every move we've made, every step we've taken, he's seen it all. Then what's the play? I thought for a moment, then pulled out my phone, sent a message to the unknown number that had been texting me. I know who you are, Harmon, and I'm coming for you. 30 seconds later, a reply. Good, I was getting bored. Let's finish this. Warehouse District, Pier 9, 1 hour, come alone or Frost dies. I showed Frost the message. She cursed. You just challenged him. Yeah. He'll have an army waiting. Probably. So what's the plan? Same as always. Walk in, adapt, survive. That's not a plan, that's suicide. Do you have a better idea? Frost was quiet. Then, we bring backup. Federal Response Team, SWAT. Surround the warehouse. Force him out. He'll see them coming, disappear, and we're back to square one. Then what? I leaned forward. We wire me, audio and video, live feed to every oversight committee in Washington. He talks, they hear it. He confesses, it's on the record, undeniable. Frost considered it. That could work if he talks. He will. He's arrogant. He thinks he's won. He'll want to gloat. And if he just shoots you, then at least they'll have proof he's dirty. Frost stared at me. You're serious? Always. Frost pulled out her phone, made a call. This is Agent Frost. I need a wire. Full spectrum. Audio, video, GPS, encrypted uplink, and I need it in 30 minutes. She listened. I don't care what you have to do. Make it happen. She hung up, looked at me. This is insane. Yeah, but it's the only move we have left. They finished their coffee, left cash on the table, walked out into the night. A black van was waiting 2 blocks away. Frost's contact. They climbed in. A tech handed me a small device. Looked like a button. "Military grade," the tech said. "Pin it inside your jacket. It'll transmit everything within a 50-foot radius. Battery life is 3 hours. Signals encrypted and bounced through 5 different satellites. No way to jam it." I pinned it to my collar. "How many people are watching?" "Right now, just us. But once you activate it, the feed goes to 12 separate oversight committees. House, Senate, Inspector General. They'll all see and hear everything in real time." "Good." The tech handed me an earpiece. "This is for Frost. She'll be able to hear you. But you won't hear her. One-way communication. If things go sideways, she can alert you." I pocketed it. "Anything else?" "Yeah, don't die." "I'll try." They drove to the warehouse district. The van stopped 4 blocks from Pier 9. I climbed out. Frost followed. "You don't have to do this," Frost said. "Yeah, I do." "Why?" I looked at her. "Because if I don't, he wins, and everyone who died stays dead for nothing." Frost handed me a weapon. Glock 19, full mag. I checked it, holstered it. "Thanks." "Evie," I turned. Frost's voice was quiet. "You're not a weapon. You're the person who refused to be one." I almost smiled. "We'll see." I walked away. Frost climbed back into the van. The tech activated the wire. I moved through the shadows toward Pier 9. The warehouse loomed ahead, dark and silent. No lights, no visible guards. But I knew they were there. I approached the main entrance, a rolling door half open. I slipped inside. The interior was cavernous. Empty shipping containers stacked 3 high, rusted machinery, broken pallets. And in the center, under a single flickering worklight, stood a man. Richard Harmon. He was older than his photos, gray at the temples, sharp suit, calm expression, like he was attending a board meeting instead of a confession. "Phantom 6, he said. "Punctual. I appreciate that." I walked closer, stopped 20 feet away. "Harmon. Deputy Director Harmon, if we're being formal." "I don't do formal with traitors." He smiled. "Traitor? That's a strong word. I prefer entrepreneur. You sold out your country. I provided services to interested parties for a fee. That's capitalism. You killed my team. I eliminated liabilities. That's risk management." My hand moved toward my weapon. "I wouldn't," Harmon said. He raised his hand. Red laser dots appeared on my chest. 6 of them. Snipers in the rafters. I froze. "Sit down," Harmon said, gesturing to a crate. "Let's talk like adults." I sat, slowly, hands visible. Harmon stayed standing. "You've been quite the problem," he said. "I'll admit I underestimated you. Most people who die stay dead, but you came back, exposed Sullivan, captured Victor, forced my hand with Brennan. Impressive. Flattery won't save you." "I'm not looking to be saved. I'm looking to make you an offer." "Not interested." "You haven't heard it yet. I don't work for people like you." "People like me?" He stepped closer. "You mean people who understand how the world really works? Who know that nations are just lines on a map and loyalty is a transaction?" "I mean people who murder civilians to cover their crimes." Harmon's expression didn't change. "The FBI building was a necessity. Brennan was about to spin a story that would have created years of investigations. I couldn't allow that." "So you killed 200 people." I removed a complication. "The casualties were unfortunate, but acceptable." I felt the wire pressing against my collar, felt the weight of 12 committees watching, listening. I needed him to say more, needed him to hang himself. "Why?" I asked. "Why betray everything you swore to protect?" Harmon laughed. "You really don't understand, do you? I didn't betray anything. I optimized it. Intelligence agencies are obsolete. Dinosaurs. The real power is in private hands. Contractors, corporations, people who move faster than governments. I'm just ahead of the curve. By selling state secrets. By providing market access. Do you know how much a classified operational plan is worth to the right buyer? Millions. And I've sold dozens over the years. Russia, China, Israel, Iran, whoever pays. And the chemical weapon in Kandahar, a particularly lucrative deal. My clients wanted access to advanced biochemical agents. I arranged the transaction. Your team interfered, so I arranged for them to be eliminated. My hands clenched. You killed them for money. I neutralized threats to my business model. It's nothing personal. It's everything personal. Harmon stepped closer. You still don't get it. You think this is about justice, morality, right and wrong. But those are just words. The only thing that matters is power, and I have it. You don't. You sure about that? Harmon frowned. What? I smiled. You've been talking for 3 minutes, confessing to treason, espionage, murder, and conspiracy, and 12 congressional oversight committees just heard every word. Harmon's face went pale. You're wired. Full audio and video, live feed, encrypted, already distributed. Even if you kill me, it's too late. Harmon's jaw tightened. He raised his hand. The laser dots centered on my head. Then you die here, he said. Maybe, but you're finished. By morning, every agency in the country will be hunting you. Every asset frozen, every ally turned. You'll be the most wanted man alive. They'll never catch me. I have contingencies, resources, safe houses in 14 countries. Identities you can't trace. Money you can't find. I'll disappear. Want to bet? A voice echoed through the warehouse. Amplified, cold. Deputy Director Harmon, this is the FBI. You are surrounded. Drop your weapon and surrender. Harmon spun. Lights flooded the warehouse. SWAT teams poured in from every entrance. 50 operators, all armed, all aimed at him. Frost appeared beside me, weapon raised. We didn't just wire you, Frost said. We coordinated a federal response the second you confirmed this location. You've been talking to Congress, the FBI, and every agency with jurisdiction. Harmon's expression cracked. For the first time he looked afraid. It's over, I said. Harmon reached for his weapon. The snipers in the rafters fired. He went down, not dead, hit in the shoulder and leg, disabled. SWAT swarmed him, cuffed him, read him his rights, dragged him away screaming about lawyers and immunity deals. I stood in the center of the warehouse, breathing hard, feeling the adrenaline drain away. Frost moved beside me. You good? I nodded. Yeah. That was reckless. It worked. Barely. Still counts. Frost almost smiled. We walked out together. Outside federal vehicles lined the pier. Agents, prosecutors, media arriving. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Well played. You're better than I thought, but this isn't over. There are others, always others. Watch your back. I deleted the message. Let them come. I'd spent 3 years running. 3 years invisible. 3 years being mouse. Not anymore. If there were others, and there always were, they'd learn what Harmon learned, what Victor learned, what Brennan learned. Ghosts don't scare easily, and the ones who hunt us end up buried. I looked at the destruction one last time, then walked away. The war wasn't over, but I wasn't hiding anymore. The next 72 hours were a blur. Debriefings, depositions, testimony before 4 separate committees. I told them everything. The mission, the betrayals, the deaths, the conspiracy. Harmon was formally charged with treason, espionage, and 200 counts of murder. No bail, maximum security. His assets were frozen globally, his network dismantled. 14 other intelligence officers arrested in connection with his operation. Sullivan was found dead in his cell, apparent suicide. But the autopsy showed signs of foul play. Another loose end tied off by someone still hiding in the shadows. Victor was extradited to The Hague to face war crimes charges. His organization collapsed without him. Brennan's body was recovered from the rubble, along with 53 others. The FBI bombing was ruled a domestic terror attack orchestrated by Harmon to eliminate witnesses. The investigation was ongoing, and I was cleared, fully, publicly, exonerated. The headline ran on every major outlet. Phantom 6, the operative who exposed a conspiracy at the highest levels. The story spread, not just in the U.S., internationally. My face was everywhere, my name on every broadcast. The nurse who'd taken down a corrupt intelligence network. Riverside Memorial Hospital held a press conference. Dr. Whitmore stood at the podium, looking older, humbled. He read a prepared statement. Evelyn Thorne served this hospital with distinction for 3 years. We failed to recognize her contributions. We failed to respect her expertise. And we failed her as colleagues. On behalf of Riverside Memorial, I offer a formal apology and a reinstatement to her position with full honors. The press erupted with questions. I watched it on TV from a hotel room. Frost sat beside me. "You going back?" Frost asked. I shook my head. "No, that part of my life is over." "So what's next?" I was quiet for a moment. "I don't know. For the first time in years, I actually don't know." "That's not a bad thing, isn't it?" Frost smiled. "No, it means you get to choose, for yourself. Not for a mission, not for a cover identity, just you." I looked at her. "What about you?" "Me, I'm staying with the agency. Someone's got to clean up the mess Harmon left. Might as well be me. You'll do good work." I learned from the best. We sat in silence for a while. Then Frost stood. "I should go. Briefing in an hour." I stood too. "Frost." She turned. "Thank you for trusting me, even when you shouldn't have." Frost's expression softened. "You earned it." She left. I stood alone in the hotel room, looked at my reflection in the mirror. Same face, same scars. But something was different. The weight was gone, the constant vigilance, the fear. I was free. My phone rang. Hospital number. I answered. "Thorne. Evie, it's Marcus. You're awake." "Barely. They've got me on enough painkillers to drop a horse. But I wanted to call. Say thanks." "For what?" "For finishing what we started. For making sure they didn't die for nothing." My throat tightened. "They were your friends." "They were yours too, even if you didn't let yourself admit it." "Yeah. So what now? You coming to visit? I'm bored out of my mind here." I smiled. "Yeah, I'll come by." "Good. Bring coffee. Hospital stuff tastes like dirt." "Deal." I hung up. 2 weeks later, I walked back into Riverside Memorial Hospital. Not as an employee, as a visitor. I found Marcus in a recovery room on the 4th floor. He was sitting up, leg in a full cast, eating terrible Jell-O. "You brought coffee?" he asked. I held up 2 cups. Black, no sugar. My hero. We sat together, talked about nothing important, recovery timelines, physical therapy, the weather, normal things, human things. After an hour, I stood to leave. "Hey," Marcus said. "You ever think about going back to the field?" I considered it. "No, I'm done being a weapon." "What about being a medic?" I paused. "What do you mean?" "There are organizations, private, non-government. They deploy medical teams to conflict zones, places where people need help and can't get it. It's dangerous, it's hard, but it's real, and it's a choice." I thought about it. "You recommending something?" Marcus pulled a card from his bedside table, handed it to me. Global Relief Medical Corps, saving lives in the world's most dangerous places. I took the card. Read it. "I'll think about it." "Do that." I left the hospital, walked out into the late afternoon sun. The city moved around me, people living their lives, unaware of the battles fought in the shadows, unaware of what I'd done, what I'd sacrificed. But that was okay. I'd spent 3 years being invisible, being dismissed, being the person nobody saw, and then I'd become the person nobody could ignore. Not because I wanted recognition, but because I'd refused to let injustice win. I walked down the street, hands in my pockets, feeling lighter than I had in years. My phone buzzed, text from Frost. "Heard you're leaving town. Where to?" I smiled, typed back. "Somewhere I'm needed, somewhere I can do real good." Frost's reply came immediately. "That's all any of us can do. Stay safe, Evie." I pocketed my phone, kept walking. 3 months later, I stood in a field hospital in a war-torn region halfway across the world. No uniform, no rank, no code name, just a medic with a mission. A child was rushed in, shrapnel wounds, critical. The local doctor was overwhelmed. I stepped forward. "I've got this." I worked for 6 hours, stabilized the child, saved her life. When it was over, the doctor approached me. "Where did you learn to work like that?" I smiled. Somewhere else. Another life. You're good. Really good. Thanks. What's your name? I paused, thought about all the names I'd carried, all the identities, all the covers, Phantom 6, Mouse, all the ghosts I'd been. Evelyn Thorne, I said. Just Evie. The doctor nodded. Welcome to the team, Evie. I walked back to my tent that night, exhausted, covered in blood and dust, but alive and free. I lay on my cot, looked up at the canvas ceiling, thought about the people I'd lost, the people I'd saved, the war I'd fought. And I realized something. I'd spent years being called Mouse, being dismissed, being invisible, and then I'd become Phantom 6, a weapon, a ghost. But now I was just Evie, and that was enough. I closed my eyes, felt the weight of everything I'd been through, and let it go. Because the war was over, and I'd won, not by destroying my enemies, but by refusing to become one. Somewhere in the darkness, someone was still watching, still planning, still pulling strings. But I didn't care. Let them watch, let them plan, because the next time they came for me, they'd learn what I'd already proven. You don't dismiss the person who walks into chaos and wins, you fear them. And Evelyn Thorne was done being afraid. I was the one they should fear now, and that was exactly how I wanted it.